All right, well, Central Georgia, happy Saturday. It's Meteorologist Ansley Parker here, and we are going to take an extended look at the forecast. If you've been tracking with the forecast for the last couple of days, you know that we do have some rain chances, and you can kind of just tell as you wake up this morning. We also have a couple of afternoon thunderstorm chances as well. So I'm going to break down what you need to know about that, and then what you can expect for the rest of the weekend. The good news here is that it's not necessarily going to be a washout of a weekend. It's just going to be a little bit of a messy Saturday. So like I said, you can already see that across all the sky cams right now. They're all a little foggy and gray, and there's even a couple of showers in a few areas as well. So everybody kind of has that same scene. It just doesn't look very good outside today. But we're going to start by looking at the temperatures because it kind of all paints the picture of what's going on out there right now. So across the southeast, we have a little bit of a difference from the rest of the country, and you can kind of tell there are a lot cooler numbers up towards the north, and we're starting to find our way into some much warmer numbers. So we actually had a really cool end to 2025 and start to the new year. Now things are a little bit different. We are sitting under some much warmer conditions, and you can see where the flow is coming from. It's coming in from the southwest. That's important because we're getting a flow of moisture and we're getting a flow of warmer air in from the southwest as well. So that's kind of why a lot of the south is just sitting under some much warmer temperatures. You can see the color gradient. We're sitting under some more greens. The north is sitting under some more blues. We've got this low pressure system that's tracking across the south, and it is bringing the rain chances and the warmer numbers as well. So when we take a look at our area specifically, this map actually does a really good job of pointing out where this frontal boundary attached to that low pressure system actually is. So you can actually just see it by looking at the wind barbs on this temperature map here. Where those are all converging is actually where the frontal boundary is at the moment. So you can see there's a big temperature gradient too up in our northern counties. Things are in the upper 50s. Down in our southern counties, we're in the upper 60s. So there's also a big temperature difference that kind of gives you the picture that, yeah, some areas are a little bit cooler, some areas are warmer. So there's definitely something going on along that boundary line, and it is a frontal boundary. Cooler air behind it, warmer air ahead of it, and there's been some showers behind it as well. So it's a little bit warmer down in the southern counties than this time yesterday. The opposite situation up in the northern counties, and it's going to be a little bit of a split day for the rest of the day. Obviously, everybody outside has some cloud cover right now, but the northern counties dealt with showers all morning long. So we saw a steady, consistent rain until about right now. And the southern counties have barely seen anything just yet, but they will this afternoon while the northern counties begin to dry up. So I know that kind of sounds complicated when I say it like that, but I'm going to show you on the satellite and radar here in a minute, and we'll show you on the future view as well. And I'll kind of tie those pieces together. So it reflects as well in the winds also. We've obviously got some lower winds behind that front, and then right along the boundary line of that front, things are a little bit breezier. So I know this looks strange as well, but they're all just kind of working to tell the same story, that there is a frontal boundary moving across our area attached to this low pressure system, and it's just bringing us some dreary weather for today. So not much of a feels like index out there, just like to have that on there in the wintertime. But in terms of where we're sitting for the rest of today, yesterday's high temperature was 64 degrees. Today's high temperature should be in the mid 60s. Now, I think that some of our northern counties who are stuck under some of this rainy pattern may be a little bit cooler. Obviously, our southern counties are kind of above this. So I tried to pick a high temperature that was somewhere in the middle because today is such a weird day. Our southern counties are in a totally different situation than our northern counties. The temperatures are going to be fluctuating all day because of the rain chances. Overall, it's going to be a little cooler than yesterday because of the rain cold air that we're going to have, the cloud cover, less sunshine, but it's not necessarily going to be super cold like we would expect for January. So I tried to kind of cut the middle there. I don't honestly think you should pay too much attention to the actual numbers for high temperature today. It's a little more about what else is going on this afternoon. It's going to be a cool rain, but it won't be quite as cold as normal for this time of year. I know it sounds complicated, but I promise once we get to the satellite and radar, which we're here now, things are going to make a little bit more sense. So this is the big picture satellite and radar picture. You can see that there's obviously some more rain down further towards the south in the Georgia-Florida boundary. But you can also see where all of this is kind of coming in from the Gulf. So like I said, it's a low pressure system. It's got a front and it's pushing all this mess kind of across the southeast. There's also some cloud cover across the region as well. But let's talk a little bit more about what we're seeing in our area, because obviously with that boundary over our area specifically, we have a pretty good spread across our region right now. So like I said, all morning long, the northern counties got these consistent, steady on and off showers. And now things are actually starting to taper off. But you can see they actually did get a good bit of rain early this morning. And as this line has approached the I-16 boundary, all of that rain has begun to taper off. So now we're sitting with a pretty quiet situation. Obviously, everybody still has cloud cover out there, but in terms of actual showers, we really just have really limited light spotty showers, kind of mainly over towards a couple showers in Bleckley County, a few in Lawrence, over in Shrewtland County, and then up into Johnson County as well. Those are the areas that kind of have a little bit of light rain out there right now. But overall, it is not near what we just saw from early this morning. So a lot of this rain has tapered off. And I know it might look like, well, that was the line, you know, the southern counties aren't going to see anything, but actually that's not the case. So here is a look at the Storm Prediction Center outlook. This is kind of important because it tells a similar story to the story that I'm telling right now. We do have a level 1 of 5 risk for some of our counties for the rest of this afternoon. Now, it's not a perfect boundary to I-16. The Storm Prediction Center operates on a much larger scale, so their boundaries are not quite as precise as what we would be dealing with if we made the forecast. But imagine that that line is kind of right at the I-16 boundary. Areas south of that today are going to have a couple of thunderstorms that fire up later this afternoon with the heat of the day. So that's kind of why that risk only exists down further towards the south. It's not for the northern counties because their atmosphere has already been worked over. We've seen showers all morning long. It's just eaten up all of the fuel that any of our northern counties could have for any sort of thunderstorm, or honestly many more rain chances either. So yes, that line has kind of died down, but south of I-16, just where that line has died down, we're going to have the chance to have a couple of pop-up isolated showers and thunderstorms through the rest of this afternoon. Now, a level 1 of 5 risk is not very high, and I would consider this even to be a low-end level 1. This is really more for areas to the south of us. In fact, I can even kind of show you what this map looks like a little bit more big picture. It's really more for the South Georgia counties that are kind of just to the south of us. They have a higher chance of having more unstable air today, and they just have a higher chance for severe thunderstorms this afternoon. But there is a chance for us that we have 1 or 2 thunderstorms that try to get a little bit strong to maybe even severe. Overall, again, that chance is pretty low. But there are a couple of things that we would be watching for later this afternoon. One of those is going to be gusty winds, as per usual with severe thunderstorms. You know, it could get a little bit breezy as one comes over, and we'll be watching for some small hail as well. Those are kind of the 2 main things that if you happened to get a stronger thunderstorm, you should be paying attention to. So overall, again, this is a low-end risk, but I would say if you happen to catch a thunderstorm over your area throughout the day, go ahead and just make sure your phone is near you or whatever you use to receive weather alerts is near you, just to kind of pay attention to make sure none of these storms do become strong to severe. So that's the severe weather risk for today. And it kind of just tells the same thing of what we're going to see this afternoon in terms of the rain chances. I believe our northern counties, and when I use the term north and south, I'm going to use I-16 as that dividing line. So our northern counties this morning have already seen a lot of the rain. I think we're going to be drying out for the rest of the day, but the cloud cover will stick with us. So the southern counties have really yet to see anything throughout this afternoon. So you see, as we kind of take it to the heat of the day, a couple of showers and a few storms are going to fire up in our southern counties. But it won't last very long. I'm talking sometime maybe 1 to 4 p.m. By the time we kind of play this out to later this afternoon and evening, we're already at 4 p.m. and a lot of that has already moved out. So this is not going to be a long-lived situation. It's kind of just with the heat of the day, the remnants of that frontal boundary may try to pick up a couple of things down in our southern counties. By the time we are at 5 p.m. this evening and beyond, we're not really going to be talking about rain chances in the area at all. Notice the timestamp here is 5 p.m. It's just cloud cover at that time. All of the rain is down further to the south of us. So then we'll clear out as we head into the overnight hours tonight, and thank goodness, we actually do have one day of the weekend that will be much better looking. So if you were looking for trying to get outside for outdoor plans this afternoon, just push it to Sunday, because Sunday's going to be a much better looking day. We'll have clearer skies. Rain chances really won't be there. I know you see cloud cover here, but that's actually probably some fog. We'll likely start the morning off with fog, and then as we head into the afternoon, things will clear up. Then we kick off the work week with pretty much dry conditions as well. Monday's going to be dry, and then I'll show you the long range models here in just a minute to talk about the rest of the week. So same thing, different model. This is the HRRR model. We were just looking at the graph model, and it shows, again, the exact same thing. By the time we hit this afternoon, some of the showers and thunderstorms will start to fire up. Watching for any severe weather potential with any of those. But like I said with the Storm Prediction Center outlook, notice it's a little bit more widespread, and the chances for severe thunderstorms are greater down further towards the south. So it's kind of, the risk is almost just to the south of us. We're kind of on the tail end of that risk where we could see something, but the majority of it will be down there in South Georgia. And you can kind of see that continues all the way into the evening once this thing has even rolled past our area. So same kind of thing. Until about 5 p.m. tonight, we should be watching for a couple of thunderstorms down in the southern counties. Our northern counties are pretty much done seeing rain for the day, but everybody's going to keep dealing with cloud cover through the rest of the afternoon. So the graph shows the same thing, a clear Sunday on the way, and then we kick off a dry stretch heading into the upcoming work week. So that's kind of it, to be honest. It's pretty straightforward, even though it sounds a little bit complicated. If you're up here in Bibb County, if you're here in Macon, we're going to be dealing with just maybe light showers from time to time, but overall the bulk of the rainfall, like what we saw early this morning, has moved on. So let's take a look at the rainfall totals, if this graphic will do it for me. I'll tell you what, these graphics with the rainfall totals, yes, they give me so much trouble. Every time I try to click on one, I don't know why, it just never wants to show me the coloring, but this one did it. So this is kind of from, I know it says 5-day rainfall totals at the top, but I wanted to get everything that we got from early this morning. So this is really from the rainfall that we saw early this morning, and we actually did accumulate a good amount in our northern counties. They had a lot longer to sit under some steady showers. This will not be the case down further towards the south, but it is helpful for our counties up in the north, especially Jones County, over 2.5 inches of rain from what we saw early this morning. Even in counties that got lighter amounts, like Wilkinson County down there, we're still seeing up to close an inch of rainfall. So actually a good rainmaker for the northern counties. Unfortunately, like I said, that's really not going to be the case for the southern counties. Anything that pops up is going to be pretty short-lived, and we don't have quite as much of a time frame to accumulate high rainfall amounts. So you can see down in the southern counties, not quite as impressive. It's really not impressive at all. I think in the highest amounts, we would be talking about maybe half an inch of rainfall. So overall, it's not really going to do a lot as we head into this afternoon. So that's what the rainfall total should look like. Bit of a spread with that as well. I'm kind of just glad that the dividing line really happens to be I-16, because this forecast is pretty different once you go from the northern counties down into the southern counties. So just to show you this, because we were talking about rainfall totals, we are still in drought conditions across our area, mainly moderate drought conditions, but a couple of places are creeping towards the severe drought category. That's namely Macon, Taylor, Peach, and Crawford counties. As we kind of head into the month of January, we are definitely going to be looking for higher rainfall totals. In the month of December, we finished below average for the month, and then as we headed into the new year, we did finish the year in a little bit of a rainfall deficit as well. So still fighting drought conditions in the area. Obviously, what we saw today in the northern counties is helpful. We may even see those areas creep back down towards abnormally dry, but our southern counties really need some, and then our western counties are really the ones who could use some rainfall. Unfortunately, in the upcoming work week, that's not going to be the time that we're going to find it. Remember, we dry out tomorrow, so Sunday is going to be a nice end to the weekend, and then we kick off a dry stretch heading into the upcoming work week. Monday, we stay dry. Tuesday, we stay dry. Wednesday, we stay dry. Even Thursday, we're looking dry. So through most of the work week, things are going to be fairly dry. We're entering another quiet stretch of weather until we get to next weekend. So the very end of the 7-day forecast is when we start to see rain chances once again. There's another boundary on the way to the area, and it starts to make its way towards the state on Friday. But notice, through most of Friday, this front starts moving really slowly, and it doesn't quite make its way to our area just yet. You're going to see a rain chance on the 7-day forecast for Friday. I've thrown about a 20% on there for now, but I actually think the bulk of the rainfall that we could see from this would occur on Saturday. So this really starts to slow down by the time it gets to our state, but likely brings rainfall our way on Saturday. You can see this is Saturday early morning. There's some showers across the entire state, and that does include the central Georgia area. This is the very, very, very end of the 7-day forecast and the long-range models as well. So there's a lot that could change as we go throughout the coming days. Not necessarily sure if Saturday is going to be a washout right now, or if the models will trend with different timing. Right now, it looks like there's a rain chance sometime between Friday and Saturday. We're going to keep our eye on that throughout the week. If you have interests in plans next Saturday, definitely keep checking in with the forecast, but this is kind of how things look right now. We're getting a general idea that there is some rain on the way. How much we'll see, what's the exact timing, those are the things that we'll figure out as we head into the upcoming week. But the one thing we can say almost for certain is that rain chance will not result in any snowfall. I know there have been some questions about that on social media. I've seen a couple different posts of people talking about that, not necessarily in our area, but just across the southeast. We are going to stay far, far away from any temperatures that could bring us snowfall in the upcoming work week. In fact, we're going to be well above average for this time of year. Now, the average for this time of year may actually seem a little bit warmer to you than you may originally have been thinking. The average for this time of year is 59 degrees. So we're actually still supposed to be in the upper 50s despite the fact that we're in January. But the numbers that you're going to see as we close out the weekend and kick off the upcoming work week are nowhere near average for this time of year. And if it feels especially warm, you're not making that up. We're back in numbers that we saw in Christmas time, where we set records on Christmas Eve and where we matched records on Christmas Day. We're in the 60s through the weekend. As we kick off the upcoming work week, Monday will be in the 60s again, but then we will be in the 70s by the time we hit Tuesday, and we're going to stay in the 70s for the rest of the week. What is the reason? We're essentially going to have an upper level high pressure and a surface high pressure. They're going to match up. We're going to get a lot of southwesterly flow, kind of like what we have out there right now. And we are going to get a lot of what we call warm air advection. So there's just going to be warm air filtering into our area for a long time, and that's going to allow the temperatures to climb up pretty high. So definitely an above average stretch that we're going to have here. I would not be surprised if we ended up matching records or beating records some point at the end of next week. Remember, we did that on Christmas Day or Christmas Eve. We broke a record. We hit a high temperature of 81 degrees on Christmas Eve. The old record was 78 degrees. So we have been no stranger to kind of blowing records out of the water over the last month or so. I wouldn't be surprised if we did something similar heading into the rest of the week. So pay attention to that. Could be an interesting week in terms of temperatures, and the afternoon highs obviously will be warm. The overnight lows are going to follow suit as well. This is the part that I don't really mind. We're going to be a little bit warmer than average for this time of year in the mornings as well. The average low for this time of year is around 36 degrees, so that probably feels a little bit more on par with what it should be for this time of year. We're supposed to be near freezing. We are going to stay far away from that again heading into the rest of the week. We're in the 50s today because of the rainfall, so we'll drop down into the 40s by tomorrow. We're closer to average in the mornings, but still not super close. We're going to be in the 40s through most of the week, and then by the time we climb into the mid portion of the week, when we climb into the 70s, the overnight lows are going to climb into the 50s. So very warm. You really won't need a jacket very much as we head out the door early in the morning for the next couple of days. Abnormally warm, I would say, is fair to say, and that will kind of be the trend heading into the long-term forecast. You can see that on the 7-day as well. It's a pretty straightforward 7-day forecast with the bars climbing pretty high. The main rain chance that you're going to see on the 7-day here will be for today. I've thrown about a 60% on there just because not everybody is seeing this heavy-duty, long-term, widespread rainfall. Obviously, it's a dreary sight out there, but the southern counties are going to creep towards a couple of thunderstorms later this afternoon. Not everybody is going to end up seeing one, so that's what the rain chance is for today. Obviously, we clear back up as we head into tomorrow, and then as we kick off the week, we stay nice and dry. So Monday all the way through Thursday, staying dry. Remember, the rain chance for Friday right now is kind of penciled in there. Once Saturday is on the 7-day forecast, so tomorrow, you'll likely see the rain chance kind of focused on Saturday. But again, if you have interest in next weekend, Friday, or especially Saturday, just keep checking in with the forecast over the next few days as we get a little bit more details. Temperatures will be a huge factor going into the rest of the week. We're in the 60s all the way through Monday, and then as we climb into Tuesday in the midweek, we are going to hang out in the 70s, and they don't go anywhere as we head into the second half of next work week. So even as that rain chance enters in on Friday, still staying in the 70s. We'll see what happens beyond that. That rain chance is likely a part of either an upper level low pressure system or a surface front, which could actually bring a cooler air mass or at least redirect our winds to come in from the northwest. So fingers crossed that we make our way out of the 70s as we head beyond Friday, but right now they are at least going to be here through the next week. So that is a look at the extended forecast. Obviously, today's going to be the most impactful day in terms of weather, but then as we head into the next week, I think it's going to be pretty warm. So we'll keep providing details as we go throughout the rest of the upcoming weekend. Obviously, again, we'll kind of fine tune what we see there for Friday, but if you do find yourself in areas that are south of I-16 today, just kind of make sure to check on the radar, check on our 24/7 stream if you're interested in kind of streaming the radar live. And then if you happen to see a thunderstorm later today, just make sure you have your alerts near you in case that ends up being a strong thunderstorm or a severe thunderstorm. So thank you so much for joining me early this morning, and we will see you right back here tonight at 6 p.m. They're south of I-16, which is why there's still going to be lots of fuel for a couple of isolated thunderstorms through later today. The Storm Prediction Center kind of shows the same thing. A level 1 of 5 risk exists for those areas. This is just to cover the bases in case 1 or 2 isolated thunderstorms tries to get strong to maybe severe. I'm going to consider this a very low-end severe weather risk, but it is there. So if you happen to catch a thunderstorm throughout today, just make sure that you're checking with your phone to see if any sort of alerts get issued for any of the storms throughout this afternoon. So let's play the future view through to kind of reflect the same thing. Again, a lot of those showers are tapering off, but as we head into later this afternoon, we'll see a couple of those begin to fire up again south of I-16. You're going to hear me say that a lot. That's where the focus will be heading into the afternoon, and it will just stick with us until we get to about 4 or 5 in the evening, and then most of this rain will move on. We're going to just kind of stay cloudy and dreary as we close out Saturday, and then as we kick off Sunday, we're going to have a totally different sight. So Sunday will be a much better day. Skies are going to stay clear throughout the entire day on Sunday. Some passing clouds as we kick off Monday, but we're actually going to be on another dry stretch as we kick off the upcoming work week. So this Saturday rain chance is kind of the only rain chance that you have to deal with, at least as we head into the end of the weekend and then the upcoming work week. Even as we play the long range models out, we're dry all the way through the midweek. We're dry all the way through Thursday. The rain chances do return on Friday, but it's really looking to be low end at this time. We've got another boundary coming into our area, but you can see by Friday, not really here just yet. It may be more of a late night Friday, early Saturday morning situation. And of course, this is at the end of the 7-day forecast. So we'll fine tune that long-term rain chance as we go through the next couple of days. The biggest focus now will be what you're seeing out there today. A couple of showers and a few isolated thunderstorms into this afternoon. Everything tapers off as we head into the overnight hours tonight and kick off Sunday. And then we stay dry for most of the work week with the high temperatures climbing well above average for this time of year. We are back in the 70s by Tuesday.